Welcome back, everybody. We've got another Wild Badger product to review here. This time it is their pole saw. I think they only have one, maybe they have two of these, but this one is 11 feet long with the extension end. There's a removable extension section there where you can actually have it 11 feet long or take this section out and have it shorter and easier to manage with if you're not doing some really high trimming. But I wanted to mention that it is 40 volt and it's very important for pole saws and chainsaws to be 40 volt because that's the hardest thing for the batteries to turn, is the chainsaws. And this being an 8-inch, yeah, that's very good that it's 40 volt. And this is just basically a look at the outer part of the box. We're about to open it up and see what's in there. All right, here's a look inside the box. Obviously these little white boxes must be the batteries. And everything's in their plastic bags and their cardboard separators. And obviously the owner's manual there. We're going to pull everything out of the box and out of their bags and line them all up on this table to get a good look at what comes with it. Okay, and this is what we've got. Here are the three different sections of the saw itself. This, of course, is where the trigger and the battery goes. And then that attaches either straight to the top portion of the shaft or to the extension, which at that point would attach to the end section of it. Now this is the end of it, and this is a nice thing. It actually has an automatic oiler reservoir on there. A lot of saws these days don't have that, and you have to just keep on spraying the chain with WD-40 or something. So it's nice to just be able to fill up the reservoir and let it oil itself. Speaking of the chain, way over here, there's the bar, and then there is the chain. You have to put those on there, and I'll open this up in a moment to show you how that goes on there. And then you have your shield, and you have this strap, which is, if you have trouble holding something 11 feet long up in a tree, you might want to use the strap. And then of course there's the instruction manual. And I was wrong about the two white boxes. It wasn't two batteries. One had the battery in it, the other had the charger in it. But look at the size of the battery. It's absolutely huge. Look at that. Look how big this battery is. I mean, that's actually the biggest 40 volt battery I've seen. So I'm wondering what the amp hours are on that. Lithium Ion Pro. I'm gonna have to look that up. That surprised me. So let me get close up here. I wanted to show that the battery has one of those indicator lights. Boy, am I going to be able to... Here we go. And it came shipped with 2 bars, so I definitely have to charge this up. No problem. And I just wanted to show a close-up of the charger itself. It is a little bit unusual. It's kind of a two-sided thing. Normally these things mount straight onto the ground, but it has the control side on one side, and then the battery. Oh, you know what? That's what it is. The battery is so big that you plug the charger into the battery, not the battery into the charger. So that's what it is. So you, yeah, you pick the whole thing up, leave the battery on the table, and slide the charger onto it, like that. Okay, that explains that. Anyway, at this point, I will take the cover off the head and show you the how the chain and the bar attaches. Okay, so here's how you want to have it set up. Take a good look at this. If you're looking at the teeth, let's see how close I can get. I think that is all the way close up. Okay, so when you're looking at the teeth, you want them coming towards you on the bottom of the saw and away from you on the top. I don't know if I'm really going to be able to see, but that's the way you want it set up. As you can see here, so the top of the saw is where the oiler is. You want the teeth going away from you on the top and towards you on the bottom. So that's the direction you want to go. And then as you're putting the bar on there, and of course you just wrap the chain around the bar and into the groove. But you want to make sure that you get the hole here into the little dowel there, the little protrusion there. And I'll take it off so that you can see what that looks like. See how that's sticking up there? That is your adjuster, and you want to make sure that you get the hole right on that adjuster, and that's what allows the bar to adjust in and out. And then you clamp it down with the big thing I can't find on the, I'm sorry, when the sun is on the screen you can't see very well, but this big plastic nut is what tightens the whole thing down. Now to adjust the adjuster is right on the front of that screw there, and that will send that little knob in and out and adjust your chain tension as you do that. And that's why you came with the wrench there and the screwdriver to do that. Okay, so that explains the chain and the blade. And at this point there was something else I wanted to show and I can't remember, but I will by the next scene. Okay, this is what it was. I was going to show how the charger mounts onto the battery and not vice versa. So I got the charger plugged into the wall and the battery on its back right on the table. I'm just going to line up those pins and see what it does. Let's see here. And there we go. And it has turned to green. Oh, and here's an explanation. I don't know. My guess is that if it stops blinking, that it's charged. You can always just check the level on its indicator there. And so it is charging and will be ready to go when it's done charging. Okay, and so for putting the whole saw together, you just basically plug these sections into each other, and then these big collars slide and screw onto the threads there to hold it firm. And you can't do it wrong, because what you got to do is align that little arrow with that little arrow that's on the plastic there. You might be able to see, you might not be able to see right there, that arrow with that arrow. And you slide it in and it make contact, and then slide the collar on there and screw it on. And then you're set. So let's put the two sections together and see what this looks like all put together. Okay, so there it is all put together, and I pulled out the tape measure just to double check the length on it, and I'm glad I did, because I wanted to show a difference here. If you can see here, the end of the tape measure is at the end of the saw, and we are showing right at about 9 feet there. And if you remember, we were showing on the box that it was said 11 feet. And so what I think that what they mean there is that when you're holding it, the whole thing is going to be 11 feet off the ground, because you are the rest of the distance. Like if you're holding it at arm length, there's another 2 feet between you and the ground if you're a regular sized person, I guess. But I just wanted to confirm here. So what it says here on the box is 11 feet overall length. And I think when they mean overall, they mean the saw plus you. Anyway, it's totally fine, because 9 feet is really long. And I will say from experience that most of the time you don't even have them extended out there. You usually don't even put the extension in there, because what happens is they're hard to transport and deal with. At 8 feet and 9 feet, and especially 11 feet, I almost always retract them if they're telescopic, or I take the extension out. But if you wanted to get all the way up to 9 feet and plus u equals 11 feet, or even get up on a small ladder with this, you can get up even higher than that. And that wraps up the length explanation. Anyway, so at this point the battery is almost done charging, and we can actually take it out and do some sawing with it. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so here we are on location. There it is, all put together and ready to go. Got the battery in, we have the saw lubricated, and we are going to give it a try on these oak trees here. We've got some low-hanging branches right here that are going to be kind of a low caliber, easy to cut. If you can see there, it's about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. And I'm not sure if I'm actually going to take it down right there. I might just do the lighter stuff up there. But then I think that today is probably going to be the day that I go and take down this bigger one, since we've got this saw right here. And that one is right at about, so over there it's about 3 inches. And over here it is, that's a solid 5 inches. And I think that we will just drop it right there at that turn and make the whole thing fall. And you can see how high off the ground it is. I won't be using a ladder at all because that's the purpose of having a pole saw. That is right at about 10 feet from the ground, 9 or 10 feet. And then this one is right at about 10 feet. And so let's do these examples and see how that goes, and then we will go off to one of the bigger logs to test the full 8 inches or thicker. Okay, let's do it. Okay, that went very well. It's very, very fast. It's got a real solid feel. You can see here the cuts that it was making really quickly. There's 1.5 inches. Then over here is this one is 2 inches, and it just sailed right through it, no problem whatsoever. So we'll be moving on to the next one. I just wanted to mention something about it here. Sometimes these electric pieces of equipment are digital proportional, and I just want to mention that this one is not. It's just basically on or off. You can see here as you're feathering the trigger, no matter how far you press it or how little you press it, it's just on. If I know that people are going to be wondering, and I try to do a thorough review on these things so that people will know. Now, something like a pole saw, you don't really go for things like feathering it, so it's no problem whatsoever. It's actually really, really a good thing. So now we move on to that one. Let's go do it. Okay, that takes care of it. That low-hanging branch is now gone. And let me see if I can pinpoint where it came from, because I'm looking at, there it is. Okay, so there we go. There's what's left of it. Now the whole thing is up at about the 10-foot level. And here's a look at the logs that came down there, and the ones that fell on the fence. And this, like right here, this is going to represent the thickest area that we just cut through. I'll just hold my hand up to it. As you can see, we are at, what is that, 5 inches? And as you can see, the blade is 8 inches. So this is designed to handle more. And that's exactly what we're about to do. You remember we got the logs back in the back there. A whole bunch of logs. Some of them are more than 8 inches. And we are about to go take it to do the torture test. So let's do it now. Alrighty, here we go. We are going to try to cut through that log probably a couple of times just to see what happens. because that is actually more, maybe it's right at 8 inches. This represents the maximum of its cutting ability, and this is why you have a 40-volt battery instead of a 20, so that it has the power to get through that, because you're going to probably hear it start to strain at this thickness. Anyway, let's set up the other camera and give this a go. Okay, so basically what I want to do now is I want to try that again, because I had a little trouble getting it started, and I want to explain, because I wanted to mention that. This saw is permanently at an angle. Some saws are straight out, and some have an articulating head where you can adjust the angle of it. As you can see, their shaft is that straight, but it does an arc of about 20 or 30 degrees. And it's fixed at that angle, and it's actually a really good handy angle to be running at, and it's actually good because it's very solid if it's a fixed angle rather than an adjustable angle. And out on the trees, the overhanging trees, that was working out really well, but a log on the ground, I had to realize what was happening, and you probably saw how I corrected the angle that I was working with. And basically it's a do-over. Let me do it over again. Let me pick, and that log is actually longer than 8 inches, and that was what the problem was. So let me grab that 8-inch log right there and try this again. Okay, as you saw, much better results on that one because it was within the range, but it is right at the range. That's an 8-inch branch there, right, 8-inch trunk. And it does take a little. Now on the first cut there, I couldn't resist going through it again. But on the first cut, everything went smooth again. But at the second cut, you probably noticed that I reverted back to the old way that I cut these with a straight saw. But then once I realized, oh, it's angled and you got to do it a different way again, it worked very smooth again. It works very smooth at that angle as long as you're ready for it. And that is it. It basically passed the test. Let's go check it out and see what the battery level is at. After all that cutting, that was fully charged when we started. And we are at 3 out of 4 bars. So we could have just kept on cutting. And so yeah, it could probably handle all your trimming in your yard, all at on the same charge. No problem whatsoever. That's a great battery, by the way. That's a nice big 40-volt battery. And that's about it. That's wraps it up for it. Certainly long enough. I didn't do any short handle demonstrations, but the whole idea between a pole saw is that you high reaching applications, and I certainly showed that. And then I showed its torture test. Very good, capable machine. It has a very solid feel, very smooth cutting. Even though it looked like it was jumping, that's actually better than most of them. And that wraps it up. So I will have the link to go check it out. I think this is all set up for the Black Friday sale, and your links and codes and all those things will be in the description and the top pinned comment. So go check out one, go buy one, and have a good day. Thanks for watching.